survey actually for this presentation today. This is our last lecture for 2020, and so we started this back in May. My cohort over there, Shannon, is giving us a double high five, raising the roof. He's happy. Yeah, this has been an interesting year for us. I would have never thought that we would have done uh, roughly, I think it's 7 months or 8 months of online programming, but we did it, and it wouldn't have occurred without your help, without your participation. So we thank you all for joining us week in and week out. And if you're new today, we thank you for joining us. You can see up, we've got what our lecture series is going to look like in 2021. So in 2021, we are going to go twice a month, the first and third Thursday of every month. And so we've got, for the first quarter, we've got it already laid out for you. So registration is open. On the 7th was when we come back. I will be talking about pollinator gardens. On the 21st, Shannon's going to cover soil testing. On the 4th, Brandy will cover spring garden preparation. On the 18th, I'll follow up with her garden prep with spring vegetable garden information. March, cattle in Texas, which is one of the areas that we are, focused on also. And then on the 18th, to close out that first quarter, will be all about basil, and that will be presented by Brandy. So, with that being said, I want to welcome in my colleague or my partner in crime here today, Mr. Shannon Dietz. He is down the hallway in the office. Shannon, welcome on board.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So, just for those of you that are on, if you have any questions for us regarding horticulture, gardening, agriculture, you can pop them in at any time. We do have some slides of things that we've collected over the years, and so we can pop up some of that, but we'd much rather uh, answer the questions or what is pressing to you. So we've got one in here. Let me stop sharing for now, especially since. Okay, so Bruce posted a question here. Why are the leaves on my new lime tree yellow, solid yellow? Some modeling veins are lighter yellow. Bought at last year's HCMGA sale. Soil is moist but feels compact. Okay, so Bruce, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, and you can just pop them in the chat. The first one is: are the leaves that are yellow, are they the older leaves, or are you seeing it on the young growth? That's the first question. And I'll give you some time to pop that in there. Oh, you've seen it on both. Okay. And on the yellowing, so on the new growth, is the new growth completely yellow, or are you seeing interveinal, what we call interveinal chlorosis? So the veins are green, but you're seeing yellowing in between them.
And I'm curious to know too, Paul, is it a potted tree or is it
Oh,
in the ground?
excellent. Good question.
Mr. Bruce, do you have it in a pot or is it in the ground? Okay.
Planted in the ground on the sunny side. Okay. Are you seeing any leaf drop, or I'm sorry, leaves? They're just turning yellow. You're not. Are you seeing any leaf drop or not? No leaf drop. Okay. I'm thinking it's one of two things, and Shannon, you chime in if you've got another thought. Soil is moist. I know we've had a lot of rain here, so I'm assuming this doesn't even have a year's worth of growth on it. Correct? Bruce, if you bought it last year's HCMGA sale. Right. Okay. Um, one there's one of two things. And depending on how it was planted or installed, um, I'm assuming you used
Use microlife.
microlife, but the root system. I'm assuming you loosened that up. You got that. You didn't just drop that whole root ball in the pot or in the ground, and you loosened that up. So I'm assuming you installed it correctly. When you see yellowing like that, even in the new growth and in the older growth, sometimes I think that um, there's some issues with the root growth in that, and there may be some root rot issues occurring, because if it was just the older foliage and the younger foliage was nice and green, then it's probably nitrogen. Okay, because nitrogen is mobile within the plant; it moves within the plant, and so it usually is pulled away from the older foliage and will travel up there. But if you're seeing the yellowing also in the younger foliage, um, you know, I would definitely, if you have it on irrigation, I'm hoping you have it turned off. Um, yeah, the question is, are you feeding it? You shouldn't be feeding it too much as a young plant.
Right.
You want to get that root system to develop.
And I'm kind
Uh,
of wondering too, Paul, is in his observation of the leaves and everything, is he seeing any type of new growth, leaf growth or stem growth or anything like that? Because that could kind of maybe be balancing. So if you have new growth, um, you know, is there, have you noticed that, Mr. Bruce?
he just posted in there, Shannon. He
Oh,
said not
okay.
not not much new growth,
Uh,
mostly the old growth.
hmm.
So, and I'm assuming it's not planted too deep. So you're not seeing any rot or potential issues there. I I'm thinking that maybe you may have some root damage or root issues that might be affecting the translocation. And then what I would recommend is maybe this spring, when you would normally start to fertilize. Let's see what that new growth looks like. For a new plant, I wouldn't be overly concerned at this point, especially with the things starting to shut down. The plant's not going to be actively growing. Um, yeah, I wouldn't.
Until you see a significant leaf drop, I would think, Paul.
Right.
I mean, that's when you would cause concern. I would say maybe more than, like, a quarter to 50%. Then that might be raising some flags kind of type thing. But with the season coming up, like you said, kind of going into dormancy and different things like that, maybe when it comes out in the spring, might be a different story, going on a second year kind of type thing. Or would it be second year or third year?
Well, well, in the ground, it would be second growing season
Yeah.
at this tree, and so I think you should see a nice flush then. Um, and if it is on, I wouldn't do any additional irrigation on it at this time of year.
Right.
Just let just Mother Nature take care of it. We had a very good soaking the other weekend, and I know at my house we were up over 4 inches of rain. So, um, you know, just a lot of times
And that
I-
water table that we don't see a lot of times has really risen a lot. Even though we don't see a lot of water on top of the ground, that doesn't mean that we don't have a lot of water in the ground. Uh, that's how our trees, that's how everything survives and so forth. So we do have a pretty decent water table that we're at right now. We're not in a drought level or anything, so there's really no need to heavy water. And as the points Paul mentioned and so forth like that. So let Mother Nature take its course right now. She's doing a great job taking care of us.
okay, all right. So,
But I would just say, Mr. Bruce, keep on top of it. If it gets to the point where it looks like it might reach the point of like no return, reach out to us here at the office. Maybe send us some pictures. Um, Julie, if you want, you can go ahead and send put our email addresses in the chat box, and you can probably post those several times. Pictures are always a good thing for us, and Paul can attest to that.
yes.
Discussion is a good thing, but when we see it, clear pictures, up close pictures, whether it be of trees, shrubs, grass, disease, insect, anything like that, that's always going to be a big plus to us. So just keep that in mind.
All righty. Okay, so Shannon, we got another question in here. So this is from George and Karen. So he and his wife, and I know they are both master gardeners. Then they do an excellent job. So 3 to 4 years ago, they purchased 2 avocado trees at one of the master gardener plant sales. And I'm just going to give a plug right now. This is a nice leeway, a nice lead in, but you can actually order your trees, your fruit trees are now for sale if you go to the website. So if you go to the Master Gardener, Harris County Master Gardener website, there's a link there for the store, and you can order your trees for pickup. If you're on the west side, I believe the pickup is in January, and if you're on the southeast side around Precinct 2, anywhere out there, I think the pickup is in February. But you can order, you can get what you won't have to get there 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. And wait in line. You can order it, you can get what you want, and then show up that day and pick it up, put it in your back of your vehicle, and go your way, go off on your way. So they've done an excellent job of pivoting, like we've all pivoted here. There it is. There's the link, Julie. Thank you very much. But they've done an excellent job in getting being able to adapt to that. So the fruit tree sale is still going on. It's not going to occur the way it normally does, but I think it's going to be even a lot easier because you're going to you can go look, purchase what you want, and then on that day go pick it up, and it's going to be there for you. So, all right, that's my aside. So 3 to 4 years ago, he purchased two
Always the
avocados.
salesman.
There you go. Hey, we got to help them out. Those
That's
volunteers, they
right.
help us out a lot. So we need their help as much as we can.
That's true.
Um, so he bought these at the sale 3 to 4 years ago. He had them in pots. So for 2 years, they froze back in the Houston winter and grew back the next summer. Last year, I planted them in the ground and they have taken off. So they've got a year in the ground. All right. It's on the west side of the garage, so it gets a lot of sun, good drainage, they're irrigated. They look good and are growing well, but he has not seen an avocado yet on them. Any thoughts? Shannon, you got any ideas on avocados? And if not, I am going to do a quick look here in Aggie horticulture.
Um,
Because aren't there different types? Let me see here.
yeah, they are, and I don't want to speak out of turn, and I don't want to. I I didn't think.
George, let me ask a quick question. George, do you know what variety or varieties they are? And I'm going to put a link into to the avocado fact sheet that's on Aggie Horticulture. Okay, that was before he knew to keep track of that. That is
Uh,
fine. Um, I'm looking at that fact sheet right now. Yeah, there are two types of varieties when it comes to avocados. There's the type A, where the flowers open in the morning, they as receptive females and close in the afternoon. They reopen the following afternoon for pollen shed. So it's a 2-day process for the type A. For the type B, the avocado flowers open in the afternoon as receptive females, and they close overnight and reopen the following morning to shed the pollen. So the question I would have is if you have two trees and they're both the same variety, um, and they're both either a type A or a type B, you're not getting the pollination because you don't have, when the female is receptive, you don't have any pollen. And then when the pollen is ready, the female is not receptive then. So, and you have not seen a flower on them. Okay, so that's a another question. Um, but let me see. I'm scanning through here rather quickly to see if there's any other. Fertilization is usually the other thing. Um, Year one, what they recommend is 1 pound of ammonium sulfate, so 2100. And they divide that into 3 to 6 equal doses applied every second or third month from February to early August. Um, this will help to increase the total number. Oh, okay, you increase that to 2 pounds as the tree matures. So that is the only thing I'm seeing with regard to fertilization.
And I'm also seeing that it could take anywhere from 5 to 6 years from planting,
Okay, right,
from producing a flower, from flowering to producing a fruit. So I think he said 3 years he's had
right.
it.
But right, but I believe he said early on they were in containers and they so they weren't really actively growing because they did get some frost damage the first 2 years. So this is probably the first full year of growth on it. So I would say, George, just be a little bit patient with it. See how that tree grows this year, and see if you do get any uh, flower production. That's going to be the first step. So let's see if you get that flower production. I put that post into that link for the avocado, so you can click that link and download that or print it out and keep that as a resource, which will help you out also. But like Shannon said, uh, keep us in the loop. If you end up getting some flowers on it, grab a picture or send it over to us to at least let us know. But if you don't see any flower production this year, and it sounds like you've got a good growth and good canopy, which is a plus. A lot of times what people do, especially with citrus, is, we like to recommend for the first 2 to 3 years, don't let that tree set fruit. We don't want the energy going into the fruit. We want it going into the canopy. Um, so this year, it sounds like you've got a good canopy on it. So we'll see if you get some flower production. But just be aware of those varieties with the type A and type B as to when that female is receptive, because if you've got two of the same variety, there's a good chance that you might have two type A's or two type B's, and unless there's other trees in the area, you could have some issues with that. So. All right. Let's see. There's another one in here,
Yeah,
Shannon.
from
Uh,
Milton.
yeah, you want to read that one? Go for it.
Yeah, and I might have to get Milton to explain that a little bit more. He's talking about
Subsidence.
subsidence. Um, are, are you talking about like the ground leveling out, like sinking?
That's what it looks like, because he's talking about any answers or just keep adding soil.
So
So
there seems like to be an underlying issue there. If that shouldn't be a normal occurrence to me. Um, have subsided over a foot in the last 10 years. Um, when that usually happens, to me, I know I don't know if you have any water lines or anything running in that part of the yard, but what's going to usually happen is when you have leveling or lowering of your land, there needs to be a reason for it. Okay. And so you kind of see if there's anything happening on the top of the soil. And if you don't see anything happening on the top of the soil to be causing that, then you have to know that it's coming from obviously from the underneath of the soil. So then you kind of wonder, obviously you can't really see underneath the soil. So you have to think, well, what could be under the soil? Could it be some air pockets that are maybe causing this? And that really wouldn't happen over that much time, because if you have air pockets, they would kind of fill in and you would eventually have a leveling out. But what I'm kind of thinking is maybe it might seem like if you have a water line that is running maybe back there, and it almost sounds like they're I I don't know. I don't know the situation, but if there was like a leak and water was running under the soil, and that's causing that to kind of wash away some of the underlying soil, it's hard to say. That's a question that you would have to uh, do some research on, and really the research would be just digging with a shovel, maybe in that particular area, or maybe calling the city out. That might be an area that you might want to make them aware of. There could be possibly like a small sinkhole under there. I'm not really sure. Paul,
Shannon, yeah, Shannon, he posted, he thought maybe it was because they had lots of water wells in the village, in that
uh,
area in Jersey
yeah,
Village.
yeah,
And Karsten made a nice, put a nice comment in here with regard to, it could be from that.
yeah,
If there's been over pumping, and it goes on to
definitely.
mention, if there's been over pumping of the wells, that can happen. It's all over the south side of Houston. So check out with the U.S. Geological Survey. So that's
Definitely.
thank
Yeah.
you for that comment, because yeah, I don't know if that's a county or a city issue.
Because, whenever they came in and built these subdivisions, they just leveled a lot of stuff, before, and then they just kind of, put new soil over the top of it and everything. And so, yeah, that's a good point. And I would definitely follow up with them on that. Yeah, that's something you need to definitely check out before it gets any, further.
Uh, Absolutely. Okay. Oh, okay, great. You
Uh-oh.
guys are doing an excellent job. All right.
One of my favorite
Mary,
trees.
there you go. You want to you can handle that one, Shannon.
Oh no, well, let's see. I'm
Go
just
ahead.
reading. Mary's saying Satsuma tree in the ground for roughly 3 years, shoots coming from the rootstock, non-fruit bearing. Do I just keep cutting them off? All right, here we go. Um, so in order to, and Paul, help me back me up here, but in order to
Okay.
produce satsumas or any type of citrus, you have to have a grafted tree. So you have the rootstock, and then you have the grafted variety, whether it be grapefruit or satsumas or limes or whatever, and you're going to graft that onto that rootstock. Now it's saying that the shoots are coming from the rootstock. So apparently, what's happening there, the graft didn't take. So you have shoots coming from, and it probably has thorns on it, if not mistaken. And that's always a good indication that your graft didn't take. And so yes, you definitely want to keep cutting those back. If you don't see where the graft is taken, you might as well dig the tree up, right, Paul? Because the tree,
Yeah. What I'm thinking is I'm seeing, fruit on there, and I'm assuming the
yeah,
fruit is on the scion, or the, the top work part of it. So I think what has happened is just that it's got an aggressive rootstock. So usually
Okay.
it's citrus trifoliata. Sometimes I think it's either flying dragon or red dragon or I forget the other one. Um, but yes, the main thing is just cut them and remove them. You don't want to deal with that.
Some
Uh,
small pruning shears, some little hand pruning
yeah,
shears.
yeah, and hopefully over time that the trunk of that tree where the graft is will get a little will get bigger, and that rootstock won't be as aggressive. Um, and just to let you know, Shannon, the nursery I worked at, we did a lot of own root. Um, so we propagated from cuttings, a lot of satsumas.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so this way, if we did have a frost event, they came back true to type. Because a
Okay.
lot of times the grafted ones, you would have issues with the graft dies off from the freeze event, and then you've got the rootstock coming back, and it's just a mess. So,
Good to know.
uh, yeah, there are own root citrus out there, and there's also the grafted type. But yeah, I clean it up, get rid of that rootstock shoots because they're yeah the thorns on them are nasty, and you just don't want to have to deal with it. So um,
Another tip about that I read, Paul, and you might want to back me up on this, especially like satsumas and any citrus trees, is to kind of prune out the middle and to increase that airflow in there to cut back on disease and so forth. Have you heard of that? Where you're not so much middle heavy, where you have your branches coming out from around the outside and not
yeah,
so much in the inside.
yeah, you want to have that nice canopy in the ground for roughly 3 years. And I don't know, Shannon, did you know that if you double click on the image, it will enlarge it for you to look at?
Oh no, I did not.
It's something new with I think we
Because I'm
just
I'm straining my eyes
yeah,
here.
double click on the image and it'll
Oh
make it
wow,
bigger for
okay.
you. Yeah, I think you just need a little bit more, more canopy on that
Yeah,
in order to
yeah, because those thorn branches
it'll help
be
it'll
high
help
up in there.
right. It'll help your overall fruit production. So um, yeah, clean up the suckering, let the main part of the tree let that canopy develop, and you should be on your way. Okay. There's been a couple follow-ups here, Shannon, from the with the soils that Milton had, and you know, Bruce posted heavy clay soils are subject to extreme expansion and contraction. Yes, we know that exactly. We see that the effect it can have on the plants, but he also mentions that the tree roots can pull moisture surrounding soil can be expanding, especially if there is an irrigation leak. So, and then Karsten put a nice a link in there um, uh, that Karsten is a geologist. So
Oh well, that's a great tip.
awesome. Yep. So we thank you for that input. So hopefully that will help Milton out with his issue. Let's see.
We
We've
need
got
to
a.
invite her to be a guest speaker.
All right. So, and grass under oak tree is dying. Large staghorn fern in the tree just above. Okay, let me
Grass under the
look.
oak tree is that's with the orange question.
That's what it looks like. So,
Yeah.
all right. So we get this question a lot with regard to, you know, when you move in, you start out with a small tree. If you live in that house for a while, and I'm dealing with that now. We've been in our house 20 years now, and I've got a live oak, and I'd say about a third of the area, um, you know, nothing's growing. And so they always want to have turf there. And your best option for turf for a shaded area is actually St. Augustine. It's probably one of the better ones that will do well in the shade. But it's not always the shade that's the issue. It's the competition for the moisture, and it's those tree roots that are pulling that moisture away from the root system on the for the turf. And the other problem is the water requirements for turf is much different than the water requirements for that tree. So then we can run into a problem if we're watering too much for the turf, that could be affecting our tree. So I always give people the option is if you really want to try turf, um, you can do St. Augustine. My two other options, which I prefer, is you either just mulch that area, and then it's lower maintenance. You don't have to do any. You don't have to worry about mowing. It will keep your weeds down. It will maintain the moisture, and it's going to look nice. The other option is go ahead and install some sort of ground cover.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whether it's if you like Asian jasmine or you like Vinca major or Vinca minor or you like any of the Ophiopogons, you can go ahead and cover that area where you get some color, some texture. There's some nice variegated grasses out there. There's some nice variegated jasmines and things like that. Plus, some of them they flower, they bloom, so you get some color that way. So you don't have to mow it and everything. It cleans it up nicely. So you don't always have to have lawn everywhere. And as your landscape matures, as it gets older, you will see some of these changes and you're going to have to adapt. So I'm in the process now. I'm probably going to put ground cover down around the outside of that tree in order to it's one less area to mow, and B, it's just going to look better. And actually, one of the things I'm noticing is when we get some heavy rains, I'm starting to see some runoff, some washout. So I'm losing a little bit of topsoil and things like that. Need to get that ground cover down, get it established, and then over time it will fill in and
And I like it because of the contrast too, Paul.
right.
It's really, it's really pleasing to the eye whenever you see like almost like a two-dimensional, three-dimensional kind of yard. Whether you're adding, ground cover or a different colored mulch, and maybe add a couple, landscape effects. People might add like a topiary or something like that. It's whatever you want to do, but it is one of the things that we are blessed with live oak trees in the South, but we're also cursed because of the grass requirements and so forth. So, they are nice to sit under from the shade in the summertime and so forth, but yeah, but I agree with Paul. The mulching and the ground cover is the way to go to me.
Okay. Uh, okay, yeah. So she did attach a photo. Mary, thank you for that. But yeah, that's what I would let me I can yeah, I honestly I think what I would do is it's not that bad of an area at this point. I would just mulch it because you still
Hmm.
have a decent amount. That is a heck of a specimen of a staghorn fern.
That is crazy.
That has probably been up there for a while. So
Randy would go crazy over that.
yep, yep. So yeah, thanks for that image. Uh, yeah,
That is
you
beautiful.
yes, you can either go with mulching that area or putting down a ground cover. At this point, I would probably just mulch it. Um, 2 to 3 inches of mulch laid out nicely. Do not mound it up at the base of that trunk. Keep it back away from the base of that trunk because um, the extra moisture, which could lead to other problems. So thanks for that picture, Mary. Let's see another question. So Wendy,
Yeah.
and Wendy was one of our Earthkind Rose data collectors. She did an excellent job out there at the trial that we had out at MD Anderson. 3 years she collected data for us, Shannon, and did an excellent job.
Wow.
So
Commitment.
uh, can never thank her enough. So she's got what are other ground covers beside Asian jasmine you'd recommend for shady areas and courtyards with too many trees? Um, So there is Vinca major and Vinca minor. And really the only difference there is the size of the flower. So major is going to have a larger flower, minor is going to have a little bit smaller flower. And Vincas, the annual that we buy is Catharanthus. It's a completely different species, but the common name on that is Vinca. Um, any of the Ophiopogons or the gosh, what's the other one? I just drawn a blank. Ophiopogons or Aztec grass or monkey grass, they work well. Um, Wooddelia is a ground cover that can be pretty aggressive. It gets that yellow flower. In fact, I saw it at our neighborhood. They just planted it in the entryway there. Um, so there's quite a few. If you go to the Aggie Horticulture site, and I'm going to click on it, there's Earthkind Landscaping, and then they have an Earthkind plant selector. And I'm going to put that link right in the box here so you can see that. And you can you can search for different plant types. I'm just going to play it, EK plant selector. And I think when I did my presentation on plants for the shade, which is recorded and which is on our YouTube channel, we got to keep selling and pushing things. Well, we're not really selling, we're just giving out the information. That Earthkind plant selector will help, but I think in that video, I think I covered some ground covers for that you could use in the shade. So you can take a look at that also. Okay, let's see.
I've been working on the asparagus question,
Okay,
Paul.
great. So let's just post that. Where is that question? I remember seeing it.
So she's asking about the best time to prune back asparagus.
Okay,
She's having, I think asparagus. I've never grown it personally, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a 2-year crop where you plant 1 year and you actually get your crop the following year.
okay.
And she's saying that she inherited the garden, so she's not really sure how old it is or whatever. But she's talking about it's like a fern-like plant. So I asked
Right.
her to send me some flower, some pictures of the asparagus. So I might unless you know more about it, Paul, I might reach out to Dr. Um,
Well, I would definitely start. Let's do this. Yeah, because I have never grown asparagus either.
I love to
So
eat them, but I've never grown them.
yeah, there you go. So let's do this. You've got the link to that fact sheet, which
Yeah.
is a good start. And this is Karsten. If you do have any other issues, please send us an email, and we can get you in touch with our vegetable specialist, or we can pose the question to him. Dr. Joe Masabny, he's up
Yes.
at the Dallas Center, and so I'm sure he would be able to help us out with that. So
It's kind of funny because looking at it, and people wonder why we have the asparagus fern named the way it is, and you look at
it
it right
looks,
there, and that's kind of the reason why.
yeah. Yep, that's why it looks that way. Yeah, Jerry mentioned on that ground cover for under the tree, Ardesia. Yeah, another great ground cover that you can use. There are variegated varieties out there. They will get a little white flower down in the plant, and I believe they will also set a little red berry. So again, that's another potential ground cover that you will see it out there. Thanks for the note there, Jerry.
Hey, Paul,
Um,
I just kind of
yeah.
want to put a plug in here real quick. I want to pose a question to the group, and we talked, about questions and everything. And I see that we're kind of caught up on questions right now, but one that I want to pose and real quick and give everybody some information on. I'm not sure how many of you are like me for Christmas that do live trees and not the artificial trees. I just love the smell of a live tree. But Harris County does have a recycling program, and I am going to post the link in the chat box for the drop-off sites and the dates. And so it's a really great program. Don't let your tree go to waste. Um, there are several different ways that they use them for. They use them ground up from mulch around the city. They actually use them for restoration projects out in the Gulf or any type of waterways. It builds habitat for small fish and marine animals and different things like that. So, trees are definitely they're not just meant for decorations and in your living room and so forth. So if you get a chance, bring it. It's saying that the Christmas tree recycling is open from December 26th through January 31st. And there are several locations throughout Harris County. If you click on the link, there's probably about 25 different locations. So keep that in mind. Feel free to share with your friends and so forth, and don't let that Christmas tree go to waste. Put it to good use with either recycling, mulching, or helping out our marine friends in the waterways.
Okay. Let's see. I'm not seeing any. I think we're caught up. And man, I didn't even know it's 10:43 already, Shannon. So time flies
Man,
when
we
you're
ought to
having
take this on the road, Paul.
time flies when you're having fun. Um, Anything else you want to add? Do you want to give a little plug on your the feral hogs?
Um,
You got an image there or so you want to show?
let's see. Yeah. Okay, now you're putting me on the spot. I'm trying to think how.
I just want to say, for you guys, this has been a lot of fun. This is the first time we've done this and all the talks that we've done. This is the first time where we had an open session like this, and we definitely appreciate the back and forth. We did. I had some slides just in case to prime the pump, but you guys didn't need that. So we definitely appreciate your input and contributions here.
Hey, and I just want to jump in here on behalf of myself and Brandy, and early on Kim Perry, our counterpart in this project. Um, Give a big shout out to Paul, who was the leader from the get go on this. And without his leadership and support, we wouldn't be where we are today. So. We really appreciate you, Paul, and you've done a great job keeping us all in place. And we get to be a kind of a rowdy bunch every now and then, but that's what makes it fun. But I think we've done some great things for the people of not only Harris County but the people of Texas, because we have people from all over joining our program. So thank you, Paul, for.
Well, it's we didn't know what we were getting into. We had some bumps in the road, but it's been a team effort, that's for sure. And just so you folks know, we've reached over 2,500 people have attended these talks since May. So those numbers are huge compared to, and Shannon can attest to this. Um, Normally, if we have a program, if we get 30 to 40 people to show up and we put a lot of time and effort into that, these virtual or online trainings have been so much easier. We've been able to reach a lot more people. um, and and then the views, since we're able to record all of these, the views of the videos way outweigh or outnumber the actual people that attended. I think we're close to 4,000 people have viewed our library of videos on YouTube. So I think it's been a win-win for us, the agents, and we're hoping it's a win for the public, those that are interested in horticulture, because now we've got a pretty big resource of information that they can go and watch and use as needed. So overall, it has been it's been a lot of fun, and uh, really we couldn't have done it without all of us pulling together. I think they were all sort of, and now I'm assuming if you've been to one of these before, you're on our mailing list. Now you get the newsletter, which is something else that has grown from this. And just to let you guys know, one of the things we're going to plan on doing for 2021 is we're going to have a homegrown podcast. So maybe something like this, where we're talking with people in the industry, or we're covering some other topics. And so keep an eye out for that, because we want to continue to grow this whole homegrown program.
And
So
share with your friends. Invite your
yeah.
friends. Tell them. Word of mouth is great. These are all free programs. And if you see something that you would like for us to cover, a topic or something like that, reach out to us via email. We get a lot of our information and our areas to cover from people throughout the communities like you. So we need to know what's important to y'all, and it can be anything agriculture related. I cover a lot of ag industry, anything livestock, anything crop rotation. Paul handles residential business wise. So between the two of us and Brandy, we can definitely get the information out there, and we can even invite some special guests in. So we're definitely open to possibilities and so forth.
Okay. Well, great. So I think I'm seeing the chat box. It looks like you've answered a couple things have come up. Julie has posted the link to your video that you did, so on the feral hog. So I think overall we are good.
Bruce
I
has a question that just popped up.
Okay, go ahead.
First
Go.
day of Master Gardener class, three things we had to learn. Don't overwater, read the instructions, and blank. I forgot the third. Oh, it's a
Uh,
it's a quiz, Paul.
yeah. Don't overwater. Read the instructions.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
forgot the third too, and I'm sure Skip. We'd have to call Skip, Essex County, to find out what that third one was.
Use
Oh, don't
Lifeline.
don't be. I think it would be, don't be afraid to say I don't know the answer, but I can find it out for you, because that's the main thing. We always tell the master gardeners when they start their classes, once people know that you're a master gardener, you become the expert.
I use that line all the time.
And and everybody, once they find out in the neighborhood, they're going to be knocking on your door, or your yard's going to be the measuring stick to see how well everybody's doing. So um, and there's a lot of information that is covered in that program. So the main thing we want them to do is uh, give them a lot of, we don't, but we hope that you will be able to find where that information is. And so we hope that some of these links, like Aggie Horticulture or Aggie Turf for turf questions, they're good. They're science based, they're research based information. It's not something from Pinterest or something from some of these other sites that you just are never sure who's posting that information. So I
Check
guess with
out our
that.
Facebook pages too. Give us a plug for that.
Mhm.
We're on Facebook, ANR, Harris County ANR for Facebook for my group. Paul, your group
It's
is
the Harris County Horticulture
so Harris County
Facebook page.
Horticulture and Harris County ANR Facebook. Join us there. We post a lot of information. that is upcoming. There's a lot of information that comes from the state on a daily basis to us as far as classes. It's just too much information. Sometimes we can't even all get it out, but we do post a lot on social media, and so that's a good route for you to keep up with us there as well. So, you know,
Okay.
I enjoyed it, Paul.
All right. Hey, so did I. And I want to thank you all for joining us. I did not realize, I thought we were only 30 minutes in and we were 45 minutes in, and that's good. Hopefully you got your questions answered. You've got some more resources. I want to thank you all for joining us today. And as we close out, this is the last one for 2020. I want to, wish you and your families a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year's, a Happy
Merry Christmas.
Holidays. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you back here on January 7th when I will be covering pollinator gardens.
Hey,
So,
thanks to Julie and Susan Hubert on the background too for helping us out the whole time, Paul.
exactly. Yes, they are part of this team also, and without them, Julie does an excellent job on the newsletter. Susan does the work with the Canva and getting our flyers together. So, this is truly a team effort, and without them, we wouldn't have been able to pull this off this year. So we've got more things planned for 21. Thanks for supporting us, and you guys all have a great day, and thanks for everything.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.